The sun is bleeding orange over the acacia line, and something is watching from a nest of old sticks 40 feet up. A shape uncoils along the trunk below, slow, patient, testing the bark with its tongue. Somewhere inside that nest, a chick no bigger than a fist presses itself flat against the wood, blind, silent, and utterly alone. It doesn't know what's coming. It only knows to freeze. If the courage and cunning of Africa's owls fascinate you, stick around and hit that subscribe button. There's a lot more hiding in the savanna dark. This is the world of the Verreaux's eagle owl, the largest owl on the African continent, and by most measures, the largest owl found anywhere in the tropics. Out here, in the dry acacia savanna that stretches across the Serengeti, the Kalahari, and the woodlands of the Okavango, this bird doesn't build from scratch. It moves into an old stick platform, often one abandoned by a hamerkop, or a large bird of prey, high in the fork of a tree. It's a shortcut, a clever piece of energy saving, and it works, as long as nothing climbs up to take advantage of it too. 2 white eggs usually sit in that borrowed nest. The mother incubates them for a little over a month while her mate hunts and delivers food to her, night after night. And here's the part that hits hard. In most cases, only one chick makes it. The older sibling, hatching first, simply outcompetes the younger for every meal. No drama, no ambush, just the quiet mathematics of survival in a hard land. So, the single chick that remains carries the whole weight of the season on its wings it doesn't even have yet. For its first weeks of life, this owl has nothing, no flight, no real sight to speak of, no strength. It is pure vulnerability wrapped in soft, pale down, tucked into a nest that predators can smell, hear, and eventually find. And this is where the real question of the savanna begins. Why would a snake sliding up toward a nest of feathers be a far greater threat than an eagle circling in the open sky above? Because the sky is honest. A shadow crossing the grass gives warning. A snake gives none. It comes without wing beats, without a shriek of alarm, without a single sign until it's already at the rim of the nest. For an eagle owl chick, the real danger isn't always the thing with talons overhead. It's the thing that never announces itself at all. The mother doesn't panic. She doesn't scream and thrash. Documented behavior from these owls shows something closer to war room discipline. She grunts low in her throat, claps her bill together in sharp, warning snaps, and holds her ground on the branch above her young. If the threat is a mongoose, a genet, or a snake testing its luck near the nest, that intruder is taking a real risk. Plenty of would-be nest raiders end up captured or badly hurt for trying. And if pure defense isn't enough, she has one more trick. She'll drop from the branch, let her wing droop as if it's broken, and flutter low and clumsy across the ground. A wounded bird, an easy meal, or so it seems. It's theater with a purpose. Pull the danger away from the nest, then vanish into the grass the moment it's worked. Field observers have watched this very tactic lure predators clean away from a fallen chick, buying just enough time for the family to regroup. That's the first lesson of the savanna. Courage here doesn't always look like a battle. Sometimes it looks like a mother willing to become the target herself. If you're enjoying this journey across the savanna, a quick like helps more people discover it. But survival for this owl isn't only about defense. It's about a set of tools so refined that scientists have spent decades trying to understand exactly how they work, and why nothing else in the sky quite matches them. Look closely at the leading edge of an owl's wing feather, and you'll find something almost like a comb. Tiny, rigid serrations that break up the air before it has a chance to roar. Behind that comb, the surface of the feather isn't smooth like most birds. It's soft, almost velvet, built to soak up sound rather than let it bounce and carry. And along the back edge of the wing, a soft, frayed fringe finishes the job, smoothing out the last of the turbulence. Put those 3 features together, and you get something remarkable. A bird the size of a small dog that can glide through the dark without a whisper of wing beat reaching the ears of a mouse, a hare, or a hedgehog 50 feet below. That silence isn't only for hunting, it protects the owl's own hearing too, because flight noise doesn't just warn prey, it would drown out the very sounds an owl depends on to survive the night. And an owl's hearing is built like nothing else in the animal kingdom. The facial disc, that flat circular arrangement of feathers giving these birds their strangely human-looking face, works exactly like a satellite dish, funneling sound straight toward the ear openings. In many owl species, those two ear openings sit at slightly different heights and angles on the skull, which means a sound reaches one ear a fraction of a second before the other. That tiny gap, measured in millionths of a second, is enough for the owl's brain to build a precise map of exactly where a sound is coming from. Left, right, above, below. Even in complete darkness, even through tall grass, even when there's nothing at all to see. Now, picture that chick again, weeks later, finally strong enough to test its wings. It hasn't hunted yet. It barely knows how to land, but it already carries, hardwired into its skull and its feathers, the exact same silent flight machinery and pinpoint hearing that its parents have used for years to survive out here. Instinct hands it the tools. Experience is the only thing still missing. And the voice matters too. A Varro's eagle owl's deep booming call can carry as far as 3 miles across open ground. A sound built for exactly one purpose, to mark a stretch of savanna as taken. Every hoot in the darkness is really a message. This ground is claimed, these young are protected, and any rival owl thinking about moving in had better think twice. Which brings us to the deeper question sitting under everything in this story. What if the future of this entire lineage really does come down to a single female, night after night, refusing to abandon a nest she could easily fly away from? By around 2 months of age, the young owl leaves the nest, but don't mistake that for independence. It still can't fly with any real skill. It hops and flutters between branches, staying close, calling out with a thin, pleading cry, and swaying its whole body in a kind of hunger dance, begging its parents for the next meal. It takes several more weeks before those wings finally carry it with any real confidence. And even after that, the young owl often stays inside its parents' territory for up to 2 years, learning the landscape, the safe roosts, the danger zones, before it ever strikes out fully on its own. There's another layer to this owl's intelligence that rarely gets noticed. The African savanna isn't a steady, predictable place. It swings hard between bone-dry months and sudden, drenching rains, and prey numbers rise and fall with that rhythm. Breeding itself bends around it. When the hunting is thin, a pair may simply hold off nesting for a year or two, waiting for conditions to turn back in their favor, rather than gambling on a season that can't support a hungry chick. That patience is its own kind of survival skill, and across the roost sites and hunting perches it returns to again and again. This owl builds something like a mental map of home ground, the shaded branch that stays cool at midday, the safest route between the nest and the nearest water source, the exact fork in a tree where the wind won't carry its scent to the wrong nose below. None of that comes from instinct alone. It comes from years of paying close attention to the same stretch of Africa. During that long apprenticeship, the diet widens fast. This is one of the most opportunistic hunters in Africa, taking mole rats, hares, small primates like bush babies, even the occasional young warthog, and famously the hedgehog, a prickly meal that most predators avoid entirely. Somehow, this owl has learned to strip away the spines before feeding, a specialized skill almost no other predator on the continent has mastered. Birds are on the menu too. More than 50 different species, from herons and guinea fowl to crows, and even other smaller owls that wander into the wrong stretch of savanna. It is, without much competition, one of the most complete hunters the African night has to offer. And yet, for all that power, this owl still has almost nothing to fear from the sky above once it reaches adulthood. Almost. The one real exception is the martial eagle, Africa's largest eagle, and one of the very few animals capable of matching an eagle owl's size and strength in open combat. Everything else in the savanna, jackals, smaller birds of prey, even rival owls pushing into claimed territory, gets driven off by grunted warnings, snapping bills, and a full display of raised feathers and spread wings that makes this bird look twice its true size. As the dry season turns and the rains finally break over the grasslands, that same helpless chick from the opening scene has become something else entirely. It hunts alone now. It knows which branch offers shade at midday and which hollow tree marks the edge of a rival's ground. It can glide over open grass without so much as a rustle, locate a mouse by sound alone in total darkness, and answer a stranger's call from 3 miles off with one of its own. The savanna doesn't reward size alone, and it doesn't reward speed alone either. It rewards patience, precision, and a very specific kind of courage, The kind that lets a mother fake her own injury to save a life that isn't her own, and lets a fledgling owl trust instincts it has never once had the chance to test. That's the real story hiding in the acacia shadows every single night. Not a monster of the dark, but one of the savanna's most capable, most devoted survivors. Which moment of courage surprised you the most? Drop it in the comments, and follow along, because the savanna always has another story of survival waiting.